What's going on, sports card hobby family? It's another day, another sports card video. I am actually reeling a little bit. This past weekend, we had week 2, our second game for the 8-9-year-old flag football league. My son played well. He played with heart. We played with energy as a team, but we fell short. We fell short again. And I will say that I'll take responsibility, some of it being coaching. I don't think I got creative enough with the playbook. It was a little bit of a stagnant offense, kind of like my Pete Carmichael Saints offenses the past couple of years. It was similar. I didn't do enough on the coaching side, and I think that it did cost the team. We had some good moments, but we did fall to the other team. They played well, and so it's back to the drawing board. What can you do? Friends, today we're going to talk about, would you sell all of your collection, or maybe a majority of your collection, a large part of your collection, to get into one big card? We have seen consolidation all over the place. Most of the time it's to consolidate up into kind of a better card, one better card, or maybe a few better cards than what you have kind of in volume. But we've also seen consolidating down, where you have a big card that maybe you don't really care that much about anymore, and it's hard to move that big card. You know, when you get into $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 cards, it's not as easy as one might think to just, I'm just going to throw that on eBay, or I'm going to throw it in the PWCC auction, or I'm going to do whatever and get that money out of it. It might sell for whatever at auction. And if you set it for a buy it now or best offer, sure, you might get offers, but you might not. You might not get the offer that you want. You know, maybe you list it for $29,000 or best offer, and you're thinking, maybe I can get, somewhere between 27 and 29. And all the offers are coming in at 25, and then after fees, you're netting out 23. So the idea that you can easily kind of get out of a high dollar card, I think we've shown here the market's been stingy on high dollar cards here over the last couple of years. It's been a little bit more of a bearish market, which I think has made it a good time to get into maybe some of these larger cards, but getting out of them, I think, has been tricky, for a lot of folks. But what we're going to look at today is kind of how far does your money go? We're actually going to look at some examples of $25,000 and $50,000. So meaning if you took about $25,000 or $50,000 of your collection and threw it all out there, what could you buy in today's market? This is going to be fun. Before I get started, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com. This is one of the best longtime hobby companies, buying and selling very easily, being able to use kind of that original vault is what COMC essentially is. I'll show here, I've got some of my recent purchases. The only thing I've been prospecting on lately, and I mentioned this on our off-centered live streams, is Bowman U stuff. And I've actually been mainly focused on college football. So I have bought, a lot of the Bo Nix and the Drake Mays and all of those, kind of getting ready for this draft. But I am now looking at next year's prospects, because the thing that's kind of nice about a lot of the Leaf products and the Bowman U stuff, these are low dollar cards, autograph cards a lot of times. And what I have found, or there's kind of pockets where I believe, I'm kind of betting on a college quarterback, let's just say next year, that they're going to overachieve, or their team's going to play well. There's going to be some excitement, and there's also going to be kind of some of that speculation of, all right, who are going to be those top quarterbacks next year? Because believe it or not, we've got the NFL draft in 10 days? 10 days. I can't wait for it. It's going to be a really fun draft because you got 5-6 quarterbacks that could go, but then there's also a lot of good skill players, receivers. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's been kind of the prospecting I've been doing, because again, we're talking about pretty low dollar cards, even kind of the nicer, the nicer raw cards to buy and grade. A lot of these autos for these QBs are $100 or less. So you can kind of get some volume and then kind of grade those out and see what happens. So that's what I've been doing. I've been kind of taking the SCV Sports Cards approach, and some of the other kind of YouTubers, other collectors I've seen doing this, and have been enjoying it. And so most of my recent buys on COMC, outside of a few like Drew Brees stuff that I wanted to get for the PC, it's mostly been that sort of thing. All right, so let's dive into this. I actually watched a video by one of my buddies, Joe Day, who is on the Mike's Retro Trading Cards YouTube channel. Definitely check out this channel. A recent video here yesterday, I think it came out. I'm not going to spoil what card he got up into. I actually was off my radar because he showed a 52 Topps Mantle card on Twitter. I assumed that that's what the card was going to be in the video, and it wasn't that. He kind of did a little switcheroo thing, a little kind of trickery on Twitter. And so watch that video. It's kind of cool to kind of see the mindset. He also breaks down the dollars and cents of it of, here's what I spent on these cards. And he probably had, 20 cards maybe, and plus cash that he used to get up into this larger card. I like watching this exercise because I've had thoughts of this myself. He also happens to be a Tom Brady collector. I also have a lot of Tom Brady cards. And so I've thought about this as well. I could move out of quite a bit of the Tom Brady stuff and get into a nice big Brady card if I wanted to. I don't really have this want to do it on the Breeze side, meaning for the Drew Brees PC, I actually just enjoy the volume of that and finding kind of deals as they pop up. For example, I recently bought a 2014 Breeze Prism, and it was one of the wave, like blue wave, numbered out of 99. It was in a PSA 10, and I got it for $49. So that particular card, that's a low price. And I've noticed that with Breeze just because he's out of sight, out of mind. He's not on the Hall of Fame radar yet. He's still got a few more years before he gets inducted. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure, but he's probably 2-3 years. I think he's still got 2 or 3 more years to go before he goes in. I think it's 2026. And so right now, his stuff fairly cold outside of kind of the bigger cards, the Black Refractor rookie card, the Contenders Auto rookie card for him. But I like that. Obviously, huge Saints fan. So for me, my PC stuff, I can kind of pick up these cards, nice copies of these cards that are limited for him, and they're inexpensive. So I can kind of buy into this volume for him. And I also don't have this thing for Breeze where I'm going to take 50 of my Breeze slabs and I'm going to move that into his Contenders Auto rookie card, for example. I aesthetically don't really care for that card. I've got the Black Refractor, which I've showed on the channel before, signed by him. The Black Refractor rookie card numbered out of 100. That's really my all-time Breeze card. I don't have a want to get into kind of a bigger card for him or even like the Black Refractor and like a 10 or a 9.5 or something. I've got kind of my big Breeze card, and so I enjoy the volume of it. I wouldn't move the Breeze stuff into another Breeze card. Now, maybe over time I move some of that extra Breeze stuff into something else. I also just kind of going off the rails a little bit on the comic book side. I actually almost bought a lower grade copy of Amazing Spider-Man #1. That's one that when we hit kind of that comic book boom, those prices just went super high on the real big time Silver Age keys like that one in particular. But I haven't yet. It's got some writing on the cover. I don't really want any writing on it, even if it's in a lower grade. So I'm holding off, plus seeing a lot of ungraded copies of that book and a lot of that stuff. I actually think that over time, there's just going to be a lot more comic book supply. So being a little bit more patient, picking my spots there. I'm also in the middle of buying a Star Jordan rookie card, the 84 Star, the number 101. And that one is probably going to be obtained here in the next month or two. I've been working out a deal on one of those, and that's a big purchase for me. But I think for many of you out there, you've just been buying cards over time. You're buying, kind of accumulating, you're collecting essentially. But then you look at it, and then I think what happens for me over time too is there might be cards where I really like them at the time. I don't love them now, and so you're kind of thinking like, wow, I have this batch of cards that I like, but I really like this big card a lot better. I picked 25,000 and 50,000 is what we're going to look at, but honestly, there's a bunch of amazing cards in the $5,000 range, in the $10,000 range, and you might find that you could put 50 cards together or maybe 100 cards together and get into a $5,000 or $10,000 card that maybe it just wasn't on your radar because you're not gonna go out and put 10,000 of cash on something, but you might actually have card equity, cards that you could turn into that bigger card. And so what can we get for $25,000? $25,000. Right now, recent sales, believe it or not, you get into a 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. And again, lower grade. So SGC1, there was an SGC1 copy that had sold here over the last little bit for around that $25,000 mark. And the reason why I bring this one up is, first off, I get it's a 1, so this is a lower grade card, but this is probably the most important card in the hobby outside of the T206 Honus Wagner when you really look at the mainstream and what's the most iconic and has gotten to be one of the more expensive baseball cards over the last little bit here, and it's the 52 Topps Mantle. It's always going to be that card. You know, it's always going to be a massive hobby card. And just so the idea that maybe you could put together, I don't know, 50 cards, 100 cards and get into really what some would say the most important hobby card. I mean, that's pretty tremendous. Next up, 86 Fleer Jordan. The 86 Fleer Jordan, another iconic hobby card. Jordan, the basketball GOAT. And of course, the card is just synonymous with greatness. And it's one of those just very popular photos and everything. It's a fantastic card. 86 Fleer, an iconic set as a whole. SGC 9.5. SGC 9.5. So if you can find one, you know, of course you got the PSA 10. That's what, $150,000 or $200,000 or whatever those go for. Believe it or not, there was an SGC 9.5 sale for $25,000. And so when I saw that, I was actually blown away that a PSA 10 is at $150,000 or $200,000, and there was a sale for an SGC 9.5 that went for about $25,000 for the 86 Fleer Jordan. All right, for the vintage baseball, the pre-war baseball stuff, so you got the 52 Topps Mantle, 33 Gaudy Babe Ruth, also huge cards, very, very popular set for the vintage baseball folks. The yellow background in a PSA 3.5, the PSA 3.5, or probably a 3. And again, with these types of cards, eye appeal is going to matter a lot. This price point can range, but it just gives you an idea of what has sold here recently. PSA 3.5, or, and this is my favorite actually, the 33 Gaudy. It's not that portrait card, the portrait cards, but it's the batting stance one. I love this card. PSA 4.5 falls into this price range, or has. There was a recent sale in this price range. And again, this is a massive hobby card. These 33 Gaudy Babe Ruths are huge hobby cards. They did spike up in price when, of course, everything did spike up, but a lot of these cards have come back down to earth a little bit. And again, when you're looking at Mantle, Jordan, Babe Ruth, these are the GOATs. These are the legends, you know. And so for $25,000, I know this is a lot. This is a lot of money, but again, it's just the idea of we're accumulating all these things. And I've been thinking about this too. I've got a family. I'm the sports card dad. I've got 4 kids. And I think about too, if something happened to me tomorrow and my family had to figure out, okay, what are we doing? Are we holding on to this card or these cards? Do I want them having to sift through 100 slabs and like, okay, do we send these to eBay? Actually, the custodian to help my family, I've already told him this, is Flipping Steve. Flipping Steve YouTube channel. Flipping Steve, one of my best friends. He is the guy that if something happens to me, that my wife, I said, go to Steve. He will make sure that everything gets taken care of okay. But I think about that, I'm like, do I want them sifting through hundreds of slabs, you know, the volume and trying to figure that out, or figuring out what to keep or that, or have a handful of pretty big items, good size items, to where it's, all right, this makes it a little easier to manage and it's pretty easy to figure out current values on those particular items. Let's say it's 5 items. And I'm not saying that I get rid of everything else. I still have volume for certain things, but I don't necessarily need to have hundreds and hundreds of slabs I keep on accumulating. I can just kind of save up or work into these larger things. So maybe I am buying kind of small items along the way, and then I do sell off a batch and get into that $5,000 item or whatever it is. That probably is the direction I'm going to go with collectibles. Now that I'm 6 years into the game and 6 years kind of into this, it's becoming more and more apparent that there's always a cool card to buy. Always, always. I mean, Breeze cards, if I sit there long enough on eBay, I could probably just buy cards all day long for Breeze. Tom Brady, it's similar. The guy's got incredible cards. Jordan, and even if it's not any of the GOATs, even some of these newer players that are exciting. You know, you're looking at the newer players and you're like, man, they've got a really cool card here that's a in today's market, there's always a deal to be had, I guess is my point. You can look at it, it might not even be a card that you love, but you know it's a pretty important hobby card, and you're like, yeah, man, that auction, if that ends at a certain price, that's a great deal. All day long that's going on. You could sit on eBay and find great deals on stuff all day, and that's kind of part of the issue, is just kind of locking into what we actually want to hold on to, if that's what your goal is. Now, all right, let's go to $50,000. And I know this might seem like a lot. Like some people are like, dude, you're crazy. Like no one has $50,000 worth of cards. I would argue there's a fair amount of people in the hobby that have gotten back in that have accumulated. They've put together enough of a collection that they could get up to $50,000. Maybe add some cash to it, but they could get up to it. What could you get for $50,000? 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle rookie card. SGC 7. That's a high grade SGC 7. You can basically get a high grade Mickey friggin' Mantle rookie card for $50,000. 2000 Bowman Chrome Tom Brady refractor version, not the regular Bowman Chrome, but the refractor version in a PSA 6, right around this kind of $45,000, $50,000 recent sale. And again, a lot of these cards were a lot more expensive. They've come way down in price here over the last couple of years as we've seen correction. So you might have been thinking, oh, this is like not even on your radar, because you're thinking, oh, this is a $100,000 card. Well, a lot of these cards that were $100,000 are $50,000. You know, all of a sudden there could be some big time grail card that has come down enough to where you're like, you know what? If I put together a big batch of stuff, sold it off, I can make this thing happen or get close to it. And then last but not least, let's throw in a kind of a modern GOAT, if you will, a modern player. 2009 Bowman First Mike Trout, the gold refractor numbered out of 50 in a BGS 9.5. There was a sale here in recent history that was in this $50,000 range. And of course, Trout, he's been often injured here over the last 5 years, but he's going to go down as one of the greats. I think he's always going to have a pretty strong collector base in the hobby, Trout. He's just a popular overall player. And even if he doesn't, win a World Series or whatever, he's just been solid for so long. I just think that those cards are interesting as they've come down in price, because they have. Mike Trout is one of those where just steadily kind of come down as he just hasn't been playing. So I do think that people are looking to take advantage of Trout. So anyway, guys, wanted to throw this out there. What are the options? We could do this for $5,000 or $10,000, but as people are consolidating up and consolidating down, it's always an interesting thought if you have kind of a big time card that you want. For me, one of them I've talked about is that Art to Bart card. And that's not a $25,000 or $50,000 card. It's that mail away redemption card where Matt Groening signed it, its original artwork and so forth. And it's become a pretty expensive card. Would I move some stuff to get up into that card? Absolutely. Just depending on the price point and which one it is and all of that sort of thing. So anyway, would you sell off or trade out of a big part of your collection to get up into a monster card? Or have you already done it? Let me know in the comments below. Have you done something like this? Are you close to? I think it's interesting discussion. All right, friends, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.